Good meowing guys, gals, zombies, and YouTube catters. We're about 2 weeks away from the time of this recording from the release of Chaos Origins, and with it we have a brand new deck and one that's already become one of my personal favorites, and one that is set to take the meta by storm, or at least in the OCG quickly became one of the top decks in the Core format, and that is Ritual of Light and Darkness. So Magician of Black Chaos has always been one of my favorite boss monsters ever since I was a little kid, a little kitten myself, watching the Duelist Kingdom arc of Yugioh with Yugi versus Pegasus. And so after hearing about this brand new deck, I had to learn it, had to watch the guys, had to watch the videos on how this deck ran and figure it out for myself. And in doing so, I've come up with a build for the deck that I'm super excited for, maybe even take to nationals, but definitely looking forward to playing and trying out as well, and a strategy that I haven't seen explored quite yet for the deck as well. If you want to join us live on stream while we learn other decks, cover Yu-Gi-Oh news, play some Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel, or play Genesis, or play Yu-Gi-Oh ourselves, you can do so over at twitch.tv/Grinning Neko, or over here live on YouTube as well on this channel. But before we get into the deck list as well, remember, if you like this video, if you enjoyed this video, if you found this video helpful, comment down below, and remember to like and subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. So without further ado, I present to you Ritual of Light and Darkness with a little Diabell Star twist.
Behold, the Magician of Black Chaos!
No, not him.
So here's the list, and after we go through the card by card discussion, I will also be showing off 2 replays, one with the 1-card combo for this deck and for the main engine of Ritual Light and Darkness, discussing how the deck operates normally, and then the 2-card combo or 2.5-card combo of opening both engines, because unfortunately the downside of this deck is there is not really a bridge between the two unless you go into some cross sheep link plays with Magician Souls, sending a spellcaster that you're missing, making a Firewall Dragon, and then returning the card from your graveyard back to your hand to access both engines. But a lot of that I don't see is going to be feasible in this current format unless you get really lucky and your opponent has no interactions. So I'd rather play low to the ground and draw into both engines if I have to with some of the powerful cards in this deck. So for this deck, we have 1 Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician. Hopefully this is not the actual name for it, because that is a tongue twister to say. This is the Ritual Monster Magician of Black Chaos retrain. It is a level 8 spellcaster ritual monster. You can ritual summon this card with Ritual of Light and Darkness. It is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card. So cards like Nibiru, cards like Raigeki, Lightning Storm, Forbidden Droplet, Forbidden Crown cannot affect this card because you have to specifically target it. And how we get around targeting effects, we will go over here in a little bit with the Mind Shuffle trap that the deck revolves around. But also spells and traps you control cannot be destroyed or banished by your opponent's card effects, so it is back row protection. And then once per turn, if this card is special summoned, you can add 1 spell, any spell from your graveyard to your hand. You can target 1 card your opponent controls, banish it face down. So another bridge that we could possibly use is Foolish Burial Goods effects, sending a wanted or sending a spell that we're missing to the graveyard to add wanted to add a Diabell Star. And I'll have to see about that in the future and what we can do into that. We have the Blackluster Soldier retrain, Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness. This is the level 8 warrior ritual monster. And you can ritual summon this card with Ritual of Light and Darkness. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and it also has the protection effect of it being unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card. Now, this card is going to be one of your main points of interaction, because if this card is special summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and banish it. And then when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make this card gain 1500 attack, and if you do, it can make a 2nd attack in a row. So it has the envoy of the beginning effects as well. Then we are on 3 copies of Black Chaos, the Ultimate Magical Swordsman. This is also one of your 1-card starters for the deck. It is a level 8 spellcaster. Cannot be normal summoned, but must be special summoned from your hand by shuffling 1 ritual monster, either spellcaster warrior, so basically one of your Chaos Magicians or your Blackluster Soldier. Some people have also been running Illusion of Chaos in this deck and running more of like a Dark Magician package to shuffle away. Or you could choose to discard this card and place one continuous trap that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your deck or grave face up on your field, so it gets access to your Mind Shuffle. Again, this is what the deck revolves around. And then while you have a ritual spell in your graveyard, this card is just unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, period. Once per turn, you can also banish 2 cards your opponent's controls, and that is non-targeting. But again, that is not a quick effect, so it is going to be during your turn. Like I said, this deck is very good at board breaking. I guess this is the best time as any to talk about the Mind Shuffle, since it is what the deck revolves around. This is Mind Shuffle. During either player's turn, you can add 1 monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. You can only use this effect of Mind Shuffle once per turn. But when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can return 1 level 7 or higher monster you control to the hand, special summon 1 monster with a different name from your hand that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness, ignoring its summoning conditions. You cannot activate these effects of Mind Shuffle in the same chain. So you might realize Mind Shuffle's not once per turn. You can bounce a level 7 or higher monster back to your hand as many times as you want during the turn to change out your monsters from Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, or Blackluster Soldier, or getting out like an effect monster like a Mystical Celtic Sage or an Ultimate Magical Swordsman. So back to how we get access to the Mind Shuffle. We have Skull Archfiend of Chaos. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 3 other cards in the graveyard and or face up banishment, including a card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness. Notice that says not your graveyard or banishment, so it can also be your opponent's. And if you do this, you get to special summon this card. But if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 ritual spell from your hand or deck to the graveyard. So we're going to be sending the Ritual of Light and Darkness, obviously. You then get to add 1 ritual monster mentioned on that card from your deck to your hand. So you do get to add either the Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, or Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness. Then we have the main starter for the deck. This is Grifo. He's just a little guy. He is an adorable little guy, and how we play around Droll and how we play around nearly every hand trap in this format. He has the quick effect, you can discard this card, then activate one of these effects. Either the next battle or effect damage you take this turn will become 0, or set 1 quick play spell or trap that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your deck, and it can be activated this turn. Then we have 1 copy of Mystical Celtic Sage, and probably one of the weakest cards in this deck, but still very strong nonetheless, because this card is basically Graceful Charity. If this card is normal summoned, you can activate this effect. You can only special summon from the extra deck once for the rest of this turn. Also, reveal your entire hand, and if there is a card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness in it, you can draw 3 cards, then discard 2. But he doesn't stay on the field for long, because you can also distribute this card to special summon 1 ritual monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your hand. Then we are on 3 copies of Diabell Star, the Black Witch, and then we're on 3 copies of a brand new spell. Hopefully this comes out in core. I'm pretty sure this comes out in Chaos Origins, or we might be in a little bit of trouble. Corrupted Ritual Records. This reveals 1 ritual spell in your hand or deck, and add 1 monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So you don't even have to have the ritual spell in your hand. As long as you have this card, you will get access to the Ritual of Light and Darkness line. 3 copies of Wanted, Secret of the Simple Spoils, 2 copies of a Ritual of Light and Darkness. This card is a ritual spell that can be used to ritual summon Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, or Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness. You must also tribute monsters and or banish monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal or exceed the level of the monster you ritual summon. If this card is in your graveyard, you can add both it and 1 other card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your graveyard to your hand. So it is also just free material. If you dump this card with Skull Archfiend of Chaos, you can add back both to your hand during your main combo. We have 1 copy of Chaos Hats and 1 copy of Mystic Box of Chaos, and these have a paragraph of text. So this is the retrain for Magical Hats and the classic Mystic Box. So Chaos Hats is a quick play spell this time. When your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell and trap, choose 3 spells and traps with different names from each other from your deck and add one monster in the main monster zone that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness. Special summon the chosen spells and traps in face down defense position as normal monsters. So they become Spellcaster Dark level 8s with 0 attack and 0 defense, and their name becomes Chaos Hats even while face down. Set the chosen monster and shuffle them on the field, then your opponent's activated effect becomes destroy one face down defense position monster your opponent controls. So it changes the effect of whatever they're activating to popping one of these hats. And we have a lot of really good choices to choose from, as during our combos, we will most likely end up with an extra wanted Seeker of the Sinful Spoils in our graveyard. We can choose Deception as one of our cards. Corrupted Ritual Records has a graveyard effect. And we can also set Mystic Box of Chaos itself as well, because if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card, again, Chaos Hats changes the effect, it's still their card. If they pop the Mystic Box of Chaos, you can special summon one ritual monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your hand or deck. So we do get access to both of our names regardless again. Also, another choice is Debtors, or you can throw away like any of the spells and traps that are going to be bricks in your deck as well. Mystic Box of Chaos, I know this is a lot of information, I apologize. A Mystic Box of Chaos, again being that Mystic Box Retrain. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets another card you control, you can activate this card, return one of those cards you control to the hand, so you bounce like one of your ritual monsters back to the hand. Then you can special summon one monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your hand with a different name than the returned card, ignoring its summoning conditions. So if you have Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician on the field, they go to destroy it, pop it, whatever, effect Veiler it, imperm, who cares? And target it in any means for something. We can go Mystic Box of Chaos, bounce this back to our hand, then play out the Blackluster Soldier of Light and Darkness instead. We have one copy of Gaze of Demise, 2 copies of that Mind Shuffle that we talked about earlier, 1 Hallowed Azamina, 1 Azamina Debtors. The reason why we play Debtors is because of that mystical Celtic Sage lock. Sometimes you're locked out of the extra deck, so you do want to just set Debtors with a Deception on the field to make an Omni during your opponent's turn. Deception of the Sinful Spoils, triple Charmifolios, triple Ash Blossom in the Joyous Spring, triple Super Poly, and 2 Fallen in the Virtuous, because yes, we get to just play really good generic spells and traps with this deck. And then the 1 copy of Call by the Grave or other pesky hand traps. In the extra, we have 1 copy of Magistus Chorozo. This is for our Super Poly targets, any monster from the extra deck plus any of our Spellcaster monsters, 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, and 1 Garura for Super Poly targets. Then our Azamina line of Muraciliago and Illusilvia. Muraciliago to search out your second wanted, make your Illusilvia, Muraciliago just being extra material for linking. Our 1 Albion and 1 Ecclesia for that Fallen and the Virtuous looping effects. Then we have Dark Magician of Destruction D-Mod to search out that Gaze of Demise that we get to just make by banishing a Diabell Star the Black Witch and go into that Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. 1 IP Masquerada, 1 Cross Sheep, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Selene Queen of the Magister's Magicians. We end up with a lot of spells in our graveyard, so this can get up to 6 counters in some combos and some lines, so we can revive our Dragoon multiple times. 1 Charmer Quartet in Bloom, and then the 1 Access Code Talker if we need any other help pushing for game. So next I want to show off a couple of replays with this deck. First, showing off the 1 card combo if you just have Grifo in hand and how you set up the Ritual of Light and Darkness line. And then I'll show you a 2 card, 2.5 card technically, since you would like something to discard in your hand, but regardless, we will show that in the replays next. All right, so for this first replay, we're going to be showing off the 1 card combo with Grifo. Again, you can do this all during the draw phase because of Grifo being a quick effect to discard. So we're going to let the replay roll. We're going to discard that Grifo, and it's going to set the Mind Shuffle face down on the field. Now, still during that draw phase, we get to activate that Mind Shuffle. Again, this is during either turn, so during your opponent's turn or our turn as well. Mind Shuffle effect on activation to play around Ghost Ogre. We are going to add Skull Archfiend of Chaos, then immediately discard the Skull Archfiend of Chaos. Skull Archfiend of Chaos being sent to the graveyard, lets us send a ritual spell from deck to the grave and then add a ritual monster mentioned on that card. So we'll add the Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician. So if this was during our turn, we'll go to the main phase. I do miss the little light up here. And we'll go effect of Ritual of Light and Darkness in the graveyard to add back both the Skull Archfiend of Chaos and Ritual of Light and Darkness. Now we'll go Ritual of Light and Darkness effect. And Grifo also has the effect of for ritual summon of exactly one level 8 ritual monster with a card effect that requires use of monsters. This card can be used as the entire tribute. So Ritual of Light and Darkness allows us to banish monsters from our graveyard. So we're going to banish the Grifo here for the free material. Special summon out Black Chaos Magician, and then Black Chaos Magician on special summon lets us add back a spell to our hand, so we get to immediately add back that Ritual of Light and Darkness. Now we'll just end phase, and I know this doesn't seem like much during our turn, but this is quite a lot because we do get to activate Mind Shuffle again during our opponent's turn during their draw phase to add any other monster and discard this Skull Archfiend of Chaos yet again. So we're going to go Mind Shuffle effect, and we're going to add the Grifo back to our hand and discard that Skull Archfiend of Chaos. This is going to send the Ritual of Light and Darkness from deck again to add us the Blackluster Soldier of Light and Darkness. So now we have access to both of our ritual monsters during our opponent's turn. And we can also discard the Grifo here to set that Chaos Hats face down on the field. And now this Chaos Hats is activatable during our opponent's turn. You can also choose to set the Mystic Box here if you would like. Or instead of Grifo, if you don't want the spell interaction and you just want to draw into more cards, you could also just add the Mystical Elf to Graceful Charity, but that does mess up the loop between the Chaos monsters. So you would like to have something else on the field to coincide with that. So this is showing off that we could set either one of them on the field. A lot of the times you're going to be choosing the Chaos Hats though, because it is almost like an Omni Negate basically, since it does change the effect of the card. All right, so for this next replay, I'm going to be showing off the 2-card combo with this deck. We're going to be showing off what can happen and what kind of board you can make if you open both engines. So this is a 2-card combo, but kind of a 2.5 combo. Like I said, you would like something else to discard other than engine to get your maximum board. But this is what happens if you open, let's say, a Grifo and a Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, 2 starters in our deck. And we'll have the little Moltarmi Fuwalos as our random discard as well. We will start off during the draw phase, discarding this Grifo. We will set the Mind Shuffle yet again, activate the Mind Shuffle during the draw phase, and we'll go Mind Shuffle effect to add, and we'll also chain Wanted here to add us our Diabell Star the Black Witch. This will add us the Skull Archfiend of Chaos. Skull Archfiend of Chaos will be discarded, just showing that we can also do this with the 2-card, but we'll add the Moltarmi Fuwalos back here in a second. Skull Archfiend of Chaos is going to dump that ritual spell, and then add us our Magician of Black Chaos from the deck. Now we'll go to Standby Main. We'll go Effective Ritual of Light and Darkness, add back the Ritual of Light and Darkness, add back the Skull Archfiend of Chaos. And now we can go Ritual of Light and Darkness effect, banishing that Grifo from the grave, do special out the Black Chaos Magician, and then adding back that Ritual of Light and Darkness as well. Here you can discard the Ritual of Light and Darkness to summon out the Diabell, and this is here where you would prefer to have another monster to send, because we're going to set that Deception. You kind of want to end your turns with Skull Archfiend of Chaos in hand to make sure you do get that Mind Shuffle effect of discarding the Chaos Archfiend and getting access to your other names. Here just showing we will banish the Diabell Star the Black Witch because we activated multiple spells during this turn into that Dark Magician of Destruction. Dark Magician of Destruction effect, Gaze of Demise. Hey, we finally have added a card to our hand outside of the draw phase. So this is like the first point that your opponent can droll you. But even then, we're still ending on a Dragoon plus full access to our Ritual of Light and Darkness lines. So we'll go Deception effect here. This is where we're showing, this is why you want an extra monster in hand. We'll discard that Fuwalos, like I said, add the Hallowed Azamina, go Hallowed Azamina here. And now we're just doing Sinful Spoils. We're doing Azamina lines. Murasiliago is going to add us a second copy of Wanted here. And then we can link these two off into an IP Masquerena. There we go. Into our IP Masquerena. And now we can shuffle back the Moon Seal Yugioh, add back the Hallowed Azamina. We'll go Hallowed Azamina yet again, sending that Sinful Spoils Wanted once more. And this is going to summon out our first Omni with Illa Sylvia. We'll banish the Secret of the Sinful Spoils here, get our one random draw. We drew into a Debtors. That doesn't really do anything, but it gives us a card in hand to discard. We'll set the gaze and we will pass our turn. Now during our draw phase, we can Mind Shuffle yet again, and we can chain it with the Gaze of Timaeus. So we'll go Gaze of Timaeus, shuffle back that D-Mod, special summon out the Dragoon, Mind Shuffle effect, add our Garifo, discard the Archfiend of Chaos. You can also add the Mystical Elf here if we want to draw more cards to feed our Dragoon. So just showing that you have multiple options here. But if we want to play tight, we can add the Garifo, discard the Chaos Archfiend, dump that Ritual of Light and Darkness, add Blackluster Soldier of Light and Darkness now to our hand. So now we have access to both of our rituals to bounce back and forth. And we can discard this Garifo to set a Mystic Box of Chaos or set a Chaos Hats to have another form of interaction in our back row. So with this setup, we have Red Eyes Dark Dragoon Omni here. By discarding any one card from our hand, we can go Mind Shuffle to bounce the Black Chaos Magician back to our hand to special summon out Blackluster Soldier. So now we have a targeted banish. We have Illa Sylvia to tribute to Omni. Then we have IP Masquerena to link off during the main phase into a Selene, and we have 6 spells in our graveyard here. So we will get 6 counters on Selene here. And then we can use 3 of those counters to special summon back the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon here. And then we can Mind Shuffle the Blackluster Soldier back to our hand to special summon out that Magician of Black Chaos. This triggers the Magician of Black Chaos effect to target any spell in our graveyard, add back to hand. So we'll add back the Ritual of Light and Darkness. And now we have another spell to send with the Dragoon for a 3rd Omni Negate. So one of the things that I like about this deck is all the different minor synergies between the deck, especially with Skull Archfiend of Chaos. Because Skull Archfiend of Chaos, if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 3 other cards in the graveyards and or face up banishment, including a card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness, and place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, as its cost to special summon this card. So this card can shuffle back your Diabell Star the Black Witch that you banish to make your D-Mod, can also shuffle back your Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils that you banish to get your draw after placing Deception of the Sinful Spoils on the bottom of your deck. So we get to churn through more cards and recycle our Wanteds. You can also, in the sideboard if you would like, or you can main deck this card if you would like as well, play Sinful Spoils of Betrayal Silvera, because while this card is a powerful targeted face-up negate by sending a Diabell Star from your hand or field to the graveyard, this card also does have a graveyard effect that a lot of people miss and ignore. While this card is in the graveyard, when an opponent activates a card or effect in response to a Diabell Star or Sinful Spoils spell or trap card or effect activation, you can banish this card from graveyard and negate that opponent's effect. So if they ever try and chain to a Diabell Star the Black Witch effect to set a Deception, or chain Ash to Deception to search out our Hallowed Azamina or our Debtors, you can banish this card from the graveyard to negate that effect. Now, because of Skull Archfiend of Chaos, we can now put this card back to the bottom of our deck, reset it with a Diabell Star the Black Witch. So now we're getting multiple uses out of this card when you typically had placed it back with Wanted as our only option, and then eventually you just run out of Wanteds. So this deck has a lot of grind game potential in it as well, making it a very powerful, very formidable deck. So that all being said, I'm super excited for this archetype. I'm super excited to continue cooking with this archetype. I'm definitely, like I said, a huge fan of Magician of Black Chaos from the anime, from that Yugi versus Pegasus duel when it first appeared. But I'm also excited to continue working on this deck and figuring out different lines with this deck and how we can bridge the 2 archetypes as well. If you have any suggestions, if you have any ways that we can kind of foolish burial goods our way into both archetypes, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you've enjoyed this video. But that all being said, guys, gals, and bees, YouTube catters, I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and as always, good night.